The envelope in my hands felt heavier than it should. Bold letters screaming, "Final notice." I shoved it into my already overflowing bag and tried to ignore the knot tightening in my stomach. Min-jun. Emergency. Mrs. Park's voice cut through the cheerful chaos of Rainbow Daycare. 20 children were finger-painting, singing, existing in that beautiful bubble where bills and debt collectors didn't exist. I envied them. I jogged to her office, wiping yellow paint off my hands. "What's wrong?" Her face was pale. "The Kang case. They've requested someone immediately. Everyone else refused, but..." She looked at me with something between pity and desperation. "You need the overtime pay, don't you?" The Kang case. Every childcare worker in Seoul knew about it. 3 inconsolable triplets who'd been through 15 nannies in 2 months. The children of that Kang Taesung, the alpha lord whose business empire was matched only by his terrifying reputation. How much? The words escaped before my pride could stop them. "Triple your usual rate." "But Min-jun, I have to warn you." "I'll do it." 20 minutes later, I stood before a mansion that looked like it had been carved from ice and money. My beaten sneakers felt wrong on the marble steps. Everything felt wrong. The butler who answered, ancient, impeccable, nameless, looked at me like I was already a failure. "The nursery. 3rd floor. Don't disturb Lord Kang unless absolutely necessary." His tone suggested he expected that necessity to arise quickly. The crying hit me on the 2nd floor. Not normal crying. This was the sound of pure, primal distress. 3 tiny voices screaming in harmony, desperate and utterly heartbroken. My Omega instincts lurched painfully in my chest. I pushed open the nursery door. The room was beautiful, hand-painted murals of forests, toys that cost more than my yearly salary, soft lighting. And in 3 cribs, 3 tiny faces scrunched in misery. Maybe 8 months old. Red-faced. Tears streaming. They'd probably been crying for hours. 2 nannies flanked the cribs, looking defeated. They barely glanced at me before fleeing. "Good luck," one muttered. The door clicked shut. I was alone with the crying. "Hey," I whispered, approaching slowly. "Hey, little ones. I'm Min-jun." I didn't expect anything. I'd been told my whole life that my pheromones were weak, unremarkable. Other Omegas had that sweet, calming scent that made everyone comfortable. Mine was apparently too subtle or easily overlooked. Just another way I didn't quite measure up. But when I reached the first crib, a baby girl with her father's sharp features, something extraordinary happened. She hiccuped, blinked, and stopped crying. Her brothers followed within seconds, their screams trailing off into confused whimpers, then silence. 3 pairs of wide, dark eyes fixed on me with intense focus. My heart hammered. "What?" The girl reached up with chubby hands. Without thinking, I picked her up. She immediately nuzzled into my neck, right where my scent gland was, and sighed, actually sighed, in contentment. "Oh," I breathed. "Oh, sweetheart." I gathered all 3 of them somehow, sitting in the rocking chair with babies draped across my lap and chest. They burrowed close, their little fists clutching my shirt. Within minutes, all 3 were sleeping peacefully. I was afraid to move. Afraid to breathe too hard and break whatever magic this was. That's when the door opened. Kang Taesung entered like winter personified. Tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a suit that probably cost more than my entire existence. His face could have been carved from stone, sharp jawline, cold eyes, expression giving away absolutely nothing. But those eyes widened fractionally when they landed on me. On us. "They're sleeping," he said. His voice was deep, controlled, but I caught the edge of disbelief. "Yes, sir." I kept my voice barely above a whisper. He moved closer, each step measured. This close, I could see the exhaustion etched around his eyes, the barely there stubble, the way his expensive cologne couldn't quite mask the stress pheromones rolling off him. He looked at his children, really looked at them, and something cracked in that frozen exterior. His hand trembled slightly as he reached out to touch his daughter's head. "They haven't slept longer than 20 minutes in 6 weeks, he said quietly. "The doctors found nothing wrong. Specialists, medications, different formulas, Nothing worked. His eyes lifted to mine, and the intensity in them pinned me to the chair. What did you do? Nothing. I just came in and they... Your pheromones. It wasn't a question. He stepped even closer, and I felt my Omega instincts scream at the proximity of such a powerful alpha. But he wasn't threatening. He was analyzing. Sir, I should mention, my pheromones aren't particularly strong. I've always been told. They're perfect. The words came out rough. He seemed to catch himself, straightening. For the children. Clearly. The temperature in the room shifted. Taesung pulled back, his expression shuttering again into that impenetrable mask. I need you here. Full-time. Live-in position. He named a salary that made my brain short-circuit. Your own suite, full benefits, complete access to anything you need for the children's care. I have a job. I'll compensate Rainbow Daycare for breaking your contract. I'll clear any debts you're carrying. Whatever it takes. His jaw tightened. My children need you. I need you here. The desperation beneath his controlled tone was what decided me. That, and the sleeping baby girl drooling on my shoulder, peaceful for perhaps the first time in her short life. Okay, I whispered. Okay, I'll do it. Something flickered in his eyes. Relief, maybe. Good. Someone will collect your belongings. You start tonight. He turned to leave, then paused at the door. Min-jun. He didn't look back. Thank you. The door closed. I sat in that chair, holding 3 sleeping miracles, and wondered what I'd just agreed to. Outside the window, the sun was setting over Seoul, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson. Everything was about to change. I just didn't know how much. 3 weeks in the Kang estate, and I'd learned the triplets' language. Minha's hungry cry versus her tired whimper. Minji's preference for being held on the left shoulder. Miho's fascination with anything that made crinkly sounds. They were becoming mine in ways that terrified and thrilled me. What I hadn't learned was how to handle their father. Kang Taesung was a ghost in his own home. He left before sunrise, returned after the children slept. Our interactions were brief, professional. He'd stand in the nursery doorway, watch his children for exactly 5 minutes, then disappear. Never stepping inside. Never holding them. It made my chest ache. Good morning, Min-jun. Mrs. Shin, the head housekeeper, set breakfast before me. Far too much food as always. The dining room felt cavernous when I ate alone. Lord Kang requests a report on the children's development. He could just ask me himself, I muttered, then flushed. Sorry. I shouldn't. You're not wrong. Her smile was sad. He's afraid, you know, of getting close and losing them too. Before I could respond, the man himself entered. I nearly choked on my rice. Taesung never ate breakfast at home. Morning, he said curtly, sitting 3 chairs away. The table could seat 20. The distance felt intentional. We ate in silence. I fed Minha in my lap while trying to manage chopsticks one-handed. Professional. This was professional. She's gotten heavier. His voice startled me. Yes, sir. All 3 have gained weight properly now. The pediatrician was pleased. Taesung. I blinked. Sir? My name is Taesung. You live in my home. Care for my children. Sir, is unnecessary. He still wasn't looking at me, focused intently on his coffee. Taesung. The corner of his mouth twitched. Almost a smile. Then it was gone. This became our new routine. Breakfast together, sparse conversation, careful distance. But each day he'd linger a minute longer. Ask one more question. Sit 1 chair closer. On week 5, I made a terrible mistake. The children were napping. I'd been granted 2 precious hours of freedom and decided to explore the estate's massive library. Shelf after shelf of leather-bound books, first editions, the smell of old paper and wealth. Then I found the shrine. Hidden behind a panel in the back corner, a small room I'd assumed was a closet. Inside, photographs covered every surface. A beautiful Omega with kind eyes and an radiant smile. Sometimes alone, often with Taesung, looking at each other like they'd discovered the meaning of happiness. Wedding photos. Pregnancy photos. The Omega holding 3 tiny newborns, exhausted and glowing. My throat closed. This was Taehyun, the late mate. The person whose absence haunted this house like a living thing. What are you doing here? I spun. Taesung filled the doorway, his face transformed by rage and anguish. I'm sorry, I didn't know, the door was open. Get out. His voice was lethal. Taesung, please. I said get out. The alpha command slammed into me like a physical force. My Omega instincts screamed submission. I fled, tears streaming, his anguished expression seared into my memory. I locked myself in my suite, heartbreaking for reasons I couldn't name. I'd overstepped. Violated something sacred. He'd fire me. The children would suffer again, and it would be my fault. Hours later, a soft knock. Min-jun. Taesung's voice rough. May I come in? I opened the door. He looked wrecked, hair disheveled, tie gone, eyes red-rimmed. I apologize. The words seemed to cost him. You didn't deserve that. I haven't. No one's been in that room since Taehyun died. Seeing you there, he stopped, jaw working. I understand. I'm sorry I intruded. He was my fated mate. Taesung spoke to the floor. Arranged mating, but we fell genuinely in love. When he got pregnant, we were terrified and ecstatic. The birth was difficult. Complications. He held them once, told me he loved us, and his voice cracked. 3 minutes. He had 3 minutes with our children. My hand found his before I could stop myself. He stared at our joined hands like they were something alien and precious. The children cried from the moment he died, he continued. Like they knew. Like they were mourning. And I couldn't comfort them because I was drowning too. Every nanny, every Omega we brought in, they got worse. I thought I'd failed them. Failed him. His eyes finally met mine. Then you walked in. Taesung. I'm terrified of you, Min-jun. The confession was barely audible. You've brought life back to this house. My children smile now. They laugh. And I find myself coming home earlier, making excuses to see. He stopped. It feels like betrayal. Like I'm replacing him. Love isn't a limited resource. The words spilled out. Loving again doesn't diminish what you had. It honors it. Taehyun would want his children happy. Would want you happy. Something shifted in his expression. Hope, fear, longing all tangled together. That's when Miho's screams split the air. We ran. The nursery was chaos. Miho seizing in his crib, lips turning blue, his brothers wailing in terror. Call the doctor. Taesung scooped up Miho while I grabbed my phone with shaking hands. His alpha pheromones flooded the room, protective, desperate. The ambulance. The hospital. Waiting room chairs that left imprints on your soul. Taesung paced like a caged animal while I held the twins, keeping them calm through sheer force of will. Febrile seizure, the doctor finally announced. Scary but not dangerous. High fever from an ear infection. He'll be fine. Taesung's legs buckled. I caught him somehow, this massive alpha crumbling in my arms. His face buried in my shoulder, and I felt wetness seep through my shirt. I've got you, I whispered. We've got this. His arms came around me, crushing me close. We stayed like that, 2 broken people holding each other together, while nurses smiled knowingly and pretended not to see. That night, Taesung insisted on sleeping in the nursery. I found him at 3 a.m., finally holding Miho, really holding him, whispering apologies and promises to his sleeping son. When he noticed me watching, he didn't pull away. Stay. His voice was small. Vulnerable. I grabbed blankets. We spent the night on the nursery floor, children between us, hands almost touching. Dawn light found us asleep, a makeshift family learning how to be whole. The charity gala was a mistake from the moment we arrived. You don't have to come, Taesung had said that morning, adjusting his black tie in the mirror. It's a business obligation. Boring. The twins had been fussy. Min has teething. I should stay. Mrs. Shin can handle 3 hours. Come with me. His eyes met mine in the reflection. Please. So I wore the suit his staff had somehow acquired in my size, Midnight blue, fitted perfectly, expensive enough to make me nervous. Taesung's sharp intake of breath when he saw me made my cheeks burn. The gala was a glittering nightmare. Crystal chandeliers, champagne fountains, alphas and omegas dripping wealth and pheromones. I stayed close to Taesung, feeling completely out of place. Kang Taesung. A booming voice cut through the crowd. A tall alpha approached, handsome in that aggressive way, eyes immediately fixing on me. And who's this lovely Omega? Min-jun, the children's caretaker. Taesung's hand found the small of my back. Possessive. Min-jun, this is Director Choi. Just a caretaker? Choi's smile sharpened. He stepped closer, invading my space. You smell divine. Like fresh rain and honey. Wasted on childcare. I stepped back, bumping into Taesung's solid chest. His hand tightened on my waist. If you'll excuse us, Taesung began. One dance won't hurt. Choi reached for my hand. Unless Lord Kang has claimed you? But that would be impossible, wouldn't it? Everyone knows your heart's buried with your late mate. The words were designed to wound. They succeeded. I felt Taesung stiffen behind me. Before I could respond, Choi's fingers brushed my wrist, and his pheromones hit me like a wall. Dominant, overwhelming, deliberately provocative. My Omega instincts recoiled. Taesung moved like lightning. He pulled me behind him, placing himself between us, and released his own pheromones in a wave of pure alpha fury. Touch him again, Taesung growled, voice dropping to something primal and dangerous, and I'll destroy everything you've built. Are we clear? The ballroom went silent. Everyone stared. Choi raised his hands, smirking. Crystal clear, Lord Kang. Didn't realize you'd moved on so quickly. We left immediately. The car ride home was suffocating silence. Taesung, I'm sorry. You have nothing to apologize for. His knuckles were white on his knee. I shouldn't have reacted that way. People will talk. It'll complicate things for you. I don't care what people think. You should. He finally looked at me, expression tortured. This household, my position, there are expectations. Taehyun's family already watches everything I do. If they think I'm replacing him with the nanny, they could. He stopped. It doesn't matter. But it did matter. It mattered so much I could barely breathe. The complications arrived 3 days later in the form of Taehyun's mother. She was elegant, cold, her Omega pheromones carrying the weight of old money and older grief. 2 lawyers flanked her as she sat in Taesung's study. I wasn't supposed to be there. But Mrs. Shin had frantically summoned me when she heard what was happening. Completely inappropriate, Mrs. Beck was saying. My grandson barely cold in the ground, and you've installed some replacement Omega in his home? With his children? Min-jun is not a replacement. Taesung's voice was ice. He's the children's caretaker. Who you defend like a mate at public events? She slid a tablet across the desk. Video footage from the gala, already viral. This is humiliating to Taehyun's memory. To our family. Your son would want his children happy. I want custody. The words dropped like bombs. Taesung went perfectly still. You have no legal standing. I have excellent lawyers and public opinion. An alpha who neglected his children for months, drove away 15 qualified caregivers, then became inappropriately attached to an Omega of questionable background. Her eyes cut to me in the doorway. Yes, I had you investigated, Min-jun, orphaned at 12. Struggled through school. That's no family. What a convenient situation for you, latching onto a wealthy alpha. Rage flooded through me, but Taesung spoke first. Get out of my home. I'll see you in court. And Mr. Min-jun? She smiled coldly. There's a check for 5 million won waiting if you leave quietly. Save everyone the trouble. After she left, Taesung looked broken. I'm sorry. I'll fight this. They won't take my children. Our children, I said softly. We'll fight this together. His eyes widened. Before he could respond, my phone chimed. A calendar alert that made my blood run cold. Heat cycle. Starting in 3 days. I need to leave, I said quickly. Arrange somewhere else to stay. The children can't be around me when. No. Taesung stood. You leave, and it looks like we're guilty of everything she accused us of. Like you're running away. I can't stay here during my heat. It's inappropriate. Then I'll leave. But you're not abandoning those children before a custody hearing. He stepped closer. They need you, Min-jun. He stopped himself. We need you here. The next days were agony. My symptoms started early. Fever, sensitivity, the uncomfortable ache in my bones. I tried hiding it, tried pushing through, but the children sensed something wrong. They became clingy, fussy, mimicking my distress. The court date loomed. My heat symptoms worsened. I was trying to feed Minha, hands trembling, when everything went sideways. My heat hit like a tsunami, early, intense, completely overwhelming. I barely got the children to Mrs. Shin before I collapsed in the nursery, fever spiking, my omega biology screaming for an alpha I absolutely could not have. Through the haze I heard shouting. Taesung's voice. Get the doctor. And clear this entire wing, everyone out. Cool hands on my face. His scent everywhere, pine and rain and something uniquely him, making everything worse and better simultaneously. Min-jun, look at me. Tell me what you need. Need you to leave, I gasped. Can't, you shouldn't see me like this. I'm not leaving you. Taesung, please. I've already lost one person I care about. I'm not losing you too. His voice broke. Let me help you. However you need. Just let me stay. Through fever and confusion, I grabbed his collar, pulled him close enough to see the truth in his eyes. You're not a replacement, he whispered. You're something I never expected to find again. Not fate. Not obligation. Just you. The custody hearing. Damn the hearing. Damn what anyone thinks. His forehead pressed to mine. I'm choosing you. If you'll have me. My heat-addled brain could only manage one word. Stay. He gathered me into his arms, and for the first time in weeks, the fear finally loosened its grip. Whatever came next, we'd face it together. I woke to gentle hands brushing hair from my forehead and the smell of breakfast I didn't cook. Easy, Taesung murmured. Your fever broke an hour ago. The heat had passed, leaving me wrung out and embarrassed. He'd stayed. Through all of it, he'd stayed, bringing water, cool cloths, speaking softly when the fever made me confused. Never once crossing the line, just offering comfort when my biology demanded things I wasn't ready to ask for. The children are fine. Mrs. Shin has them. He helped me sit up, press tea into my hands. The custody hearing is tomorrow. Tomorrow. My stomach dropped. I ruined everything. Now they'll say nothing. His jaw set in that stubborn way I'd learned meant he'd already decided something. My lawyer knows everything. We're not hiding. Taesung, your reputation means nothing compared to you. To them. He took my hand, threading our fingers together. I spent 6 months drowning in grief, convinced I'd never feel anything again. Then you walked in and reminded me what it meant to live. I won't apologize for that. The hearing room was sterile, hostile. Mrs. Beck sat across from us, perfectly composed, her lawyers radiating confidence. I felt underdressed, out of place, like the fraud she'd accused me of being. This is highly irregular, the judge began, reviewing documents. Mrs. Beck, you're seeking custody based on claims of negligence and inappropriate conduct? Her lawyer stood. Yes, Your Honor. Lord Kang displayed months of neglect, inability to care for the children, and has since become romantically entangled with an employee. That employee saved my children's lives. Taesung's voice cut through the room. Every doctor, specialist, and caregiver failed. Min-jun succeeded where everyone else couldn't. Because of pheromone manipulation. Because of genuine care. He pulled out his phone, played a video. The triplets laughing, playing, thriving. This was taken yesterday. Show me negligence in that. The judge watched, expression unreadable. Mr. Min-jun, you're present. Please approach. My legs felt like water as I stood. Taesung squeezed my hand once before I walked forward. Tell me, the judge said gently, Why did the children respond to you when others failed? I'd prepared an answer. Professional. Clinical. But standing there, feeling everyone's eyes on me, only truth came out. Because I understood them. My voice shook. I lost my family young. Spent years feeling like I didn't belong anywhere. When I saw those children crying, I recognized that grief. That loneliness. I didn't try to fix them or medicate them or use some special technique. Tears burned my eyes. I just loved them. Like they deserved to be loved. And Lord Kang? The judge's eyes were shrewd. Your relationship with him? I fell in love with him. The confession felt like jumping off a cliff. Not because of his money or status. Because I watched him fight through his own grief to be there for his children. Because he's gentle with them when he thinks no one's watching. Because he makes terrible jokes at breakfast to make me smile. I looked back at Taesung, found him staring at me with raw emotion. I fell in love with all of them. Mrs. Beck's lawyer objected. The judge raised a hand for silence. Dr. Park, you're the children's pediatrician. Your assessment. An older woman stood. The triplets' improvement has been remarkable. Weight gain, developmental milestones, secure attachment behaviors, all within normal range now. Previously, they showed signs of severe distress that I feared might cause permanent damage. She looked at me kindly. Mr. Min-jun's presence quite literally saved them. This is still inappropriate, Mrs. Beck began. Mrs. Beck. The judge's tone sharpened. I've reviewed everything. Your son passed tragically, but these children need stability, not another disruption. Lord Kang has demonstrated his commitment to their welfare. Custody remains with the father. The gavel fell. We'd won. Mrs. Beck stood, trembling. For a moment, I thought she'd rage. Instead, she approached us, eyes wet. Taehyun wrote me a letter, she said quietly. Before he died. He said if anything happened, he wanted his children surrounded by love, any love they could find. Her gaze met mine. He'd have liked you, I think. Someone who sees people clearly. She touched Taesung's arm. Be happy, son. Please. For him. She left, taking her grief and blessing with her. Outside, Taesung pulled me into an alcove, hands framing my face. You love me. I probably shouldn't have announced it in court. You love me. His smile was brilliant, transforming his face into something young and joyful. Say it again. I love you, you impossible alpha. He kissed me. Finally, actually kissed me. His lips were warm and sure, tasting like coffee and promise. When we broke apart, both breathless, he pressed his forehead to mine. I love you too. Have for weeks. Was terrified to admit it. What changed? Nearly losing you. His thumb traced my cheek. Life's too short for fear. Taehyun taught me that. You reminded me. 3 months later, Dr. Park requested another meeting. I assumed it was a routine checkup until she pulled out a file with my name on it. Your blood work came back interesting, she said. Has anyone ever told you about healing Omega bloodlines? Healing what? Rare genetic markers. Maybe 1 in 50,000 omegas. Your pheromones don't just calm, they actually promote healing, reduce stress hormones, aid recovery. She smiled. The triplets didn't respond to you by accident, Min-jun. You're biologically designed to help people in distress. I thought of every time I'd been told my pheromones were wrong, too weak, not enough. Turned out I'd been exactly what I needed to be all along. Taesung proposed that evening in the nursery, the triplets helping by grabbing at the ring box and making us both laugh. It was perfect. Chaotic and beautiful and absolutely us. 1 year later, I stood in the same nursery, now with soft yellow walls instead of blue, one hand on my rounded belly, watching Taesung help the triplets pack their first day of school bags. Papa, is the baby gonna cry like we did? Min asked. Probably, Taesung said seriously. But Daddy Min-jun will make everything okay. He always does. Our family portrait sat on Taesung's desk now, beside a smaller frame holding Taehyun's photo with fresh flowers. Both loves honored. Both memories cherished. The baby kicked. Taesung's hand found mine, and the triplets dogpiled our legs, And somewhere in that tangle of limbs and laughter, I finally understood what home meant. Not a place. Not a bloodline or destiny. Just love. Given freely. Chosen daily. Everything else was just details.